Okay. So we're going to start, have your ball nearby you if you've got access to one. Going to start sitting on the bottom with the feet a comfortable distance away from the bottom and hip width apart, and the hands thread under the thighs, so just below the knees. And the arms are in a bit of a diamond shape, so elbows are pointing out to the side. I'm just going to let somebody else in. Oh, Claire's joining us. Okay. And just use the contact of the hands on the thighs to help sit you up. So what we don't want to do is inflate the ribs. We don't want a kind of the shoulders drawing towards the spine and a rigid chest lifting posture. We just want a straight, active, long spine to start with. So just linking into your breath as you're settling here. And the breath is flowing through the nose, so the lips are closed, jaw is soft, so back teeth are apart, and plant the tongue at the top of the palate behind the front teeth. The breath is quiet and slow, and the direction of the breath is to the upper abdomen, so the solar plexus, the space between the floating ribs. And it might be that you'd like to work with an even count. So maybe start with an even count of 3, and it might be it's more comfortable to move to an even count of 4 or 5. So breathing in for 4 and breathing out for 5. So you go at your pace. So when you're ready on an exhalation, you're gently going to tuck the bottom under, but it's not a bottom squeeze. Shift the weight back so the spine flexes and take the chin towards the chest. Hold this position, breathing in. And as you breathe out, keep that flexed, rounded spine, but draw the forehead towards the knees. And then as you breathe in, you lengthen your spine to that active, long, neutral position. So the exhalation, you flex, draw up through the pelvic floor to support the spine. Breathing into the back of the body. And as you breathe out, you move the head towards the knees, and that creates a deeper stretch to the back. And then inhale to lengthen. So moving in your own time with your even breathing. So the next time you're rounded back in space, we're going to come down to lying. So know that you can keep the feet on the floor. You could walk the hands down the back of the legs as you lower down. Or you can release the arms and lower down. You've got high tone in the pelvic floor. Or if you wanted to, you could draw the toes towards the bottom, lifting the shins parallel to the floor and lower down with the feet lifted. Whatever you're choosing, do it nice and slow, nice and controlled. So you end up on your back and you've got the feet hip width apart. The heels are relatively close in towards the bottom. Center of the back of the head on the floor and arms by the sides of the body, just a little bit away from the sides. Palms down so that you can feel the underside of the hands on the earth. So we're going to move on an exhalation. 4 stages to come up to a diagonal bridge. So as you breathe out, you're going to drop the lower back to the earth. And then you breathe in. Breathing out for 4. Keep the lower back to the earth, but lift the bottom. So there's even more of a tuck. Breathing in here. Next exhalation, you keep the ribs on the floor, but you raise the lower back. So it feels a bit like a hammock stretch to the lower back. And then on the next exhalation, you raise to a diagonal plank. So we want to feel that we've got even tension to the back of the body and the front of the body. And you decide how much tone you need in the center. So like in a plank position, you might want full tone, but maybe in this position, you need less, a more subtle tone running through your center. We're going to keep the height of this position, and we're going to squeeze the inner knees towards one another and then release. As you release, don't drop the bottom down. So keep the lift. Now, as you squeeze the inner knees, you'll feel the engagement. It's known as the deep front line. It's a fascial chain. And it might be that you feel the engagement, especially running through the inner thighs and up into the pelvic floor. So the chain starts from the feet and comes up into the front of the throat. Now, the next time you've got the inner knees pressing together, hold this position, float the arms up and overhead. Now, the backs of the hands touch the floor. It might be that you need to open the arms wider. And from this position, keep the inner knees squeezing. So this opens up the tissue across the sacrum, so the very, very base of the spine. And you lead with an exhalation, but let your breath flow and slowly start to undulate the spine to the earth. So each vertebra of the spine, even if it feels a little stuck, you imagine that it's unraveling, unrolling to the earth. And then when the sacrum touches, you can release the pressure of the knees, so the knees are hip width apart, and bring the arms up and to the sides of the body, but allow them to be floating above the floor. So just noticing the lower back and the space between the lower back and the floor. On your next exhalation, gently drop the lower back to the earth. Draw strongly up through the pelvic floor, so the highest tone you can. So it's an upward sucking of the undercarriage towards the heart. And on an exhalation, you're going to curl up. Now, if the neck needs some support, cup your hand to the back of the neck and just hold the back of the neck. So we're going to hold this position. See if you can come up towards the lower tips of the shoulder blades and just notice how the belly is drawing back strongly and that your back, lower back is flat to the earth. So not an easy position to be in. Wait for an exhalation and slowly roll down. And then just let the spine be in its neutral position. So we all have varying degrees of an upward arch in the lower back. So some of us might have much more space between the earth and the lower back than others. We're just all very different. So keep this neutral spine, your neutral spine. Draw strongly up through the pelvic floor. And you're going to raise the right foot from the floor. Shin parallel to the earth. Knee either above the hip or forwards of the hip. To make it easier though, you'll bring the knee closer in towards the chest. So you choose. You're going to lower the foot to the earth and then raise the foot. So it's a gentle toe tap. The movement is coming just from the hip joint. So you don't close the back of the knee. And it might be that you can link the breathing. So the inhalation is when you lower the leg and that exhale is when you raise the leg. Try and keep the breath quiet. Use that lovely circular breath in and out for your even count, slowing the breath down as much as you can. So the next time the right foot finds the floor, just keep it there. You'll notice that the right foot is further than the left foot. And keep the toe through the pelvic floor, raise the left leg. Noticing the difference to the side of the body and start your toe taps. So notice how even you feel in your hips, how much subtle movement there is to support the spine, and the natural curve is still there in the lower back. Rest the left foot down to the earth. So the feet are just a little bit further away from your bottom. So picking up that right leg and start to lengthen the right leg so it hovers above the floor, and then bending the knee again. So this will create more tension to the core muscles, the transverse abdominis, the psoas muscle, and the oblique muscles, pelvic floor muscles engaging. Next time your leg is long, relax the leg along the floor. Now I would like you to drop the lower back to the earth, so feel the difference. Pick up the left knee, right hand comes to the left knee, and draw the leg across the body. And maybe look to the left, turn the head to the left. For me, we feel stretches very differently in our bodies. For me, I get a really lovely stretch to my left buttock. It's quite welcomed. And then come onto your back. Keep that lower back flat. Place the left foot to the floor. Bend that right knee, right foot to the floor. Lower back neutral position, high tone. Raise the left foot. The left foot lengthen, and then bend the knee. So just feeling, if this feels too intense, come back to the toe taps. So as we create more length in the leg, it puts more tension through the core muscles. They have to engage more to stabilize. And if we drop the lower back to the earth, then actually we take away the effort from the core muscles, and we want to build up their tone. We actually want to build an even tone so that they turn off and switch on, and there's that easy variability between turning on and switching off. Next time the leg is long, relax it on the floor. Drop the lower back to the earth so that you can pick the right foot easily from the floor. Left hand comes to the right knee. Draw the leg across to the left side. Notice if the stretch is in the same place on this side, or does it change? So for me, my lower back wants to arch more on this right side. My right side is typically tighter than my left. So I need to drop the tailbone forwards to lengthen the lower back a little. And that directs the stretch more to the buttocks, for my body anyway. And coming onto your back, keep the lower back flat so you can release the right foot to the floor, bending the left foot. Now, if you have got a ball, we're going to use it. So come through that bridge position, through those 4 stages, but in quicker succession, and place the ball to the sacrum. So the bony triangle above the butt crack, and lower the sacrum onto the ball. So you'll feel that this is much more unstable. So what I'd like you to do is draw strongly up through the pelvic floor and raise the right foot and come into the toe tap. Now, if that feels comfortable for you and your abdominal muscles aren't overly fatiguing, it might be that you want to lengthen the leg. If you feel like you're wobbling way too much, and Sarah, if you're using that big ball, it might not be as good, you might well roll off, then do just allow the lower back to be on the earth, but your neutral spine. So you'd be doing that if you didn't have a ball to place under the sacrum. And right foot comes to the floor. Just settle the hips so that they're nice and neutral, not tipping over to the right side or left side. Draw up through the pelvic floor, raise the left foot. Start with the toe taps, and then if you want to, you lengthen. So creating more instability for the body. The body, therefore, the finer muscles have to work harder. Keeping the breath slow, low, and gentle. No need to be breathing up in the chest, into the shoulders or the neck. Keep it to that solar plexus, the upper abdomen. Left foot comes to the floor. If you're on that ball, tuck under, lifting yourself up, remove the ball, lower down. Just noticing here how the lower back especially feels. The abdomen might feel a little fatigued. So just paying attention to yourself, body, mind, and breath, just noticing. You're going to roll onto your right side. And we're going to stack ourselves. So you might want padding under that left hip. The ankles, the knees, the hips, the shoulder above the shoulder above the elbow, all stacked. If it hurts the shoulder, move the forearm a little forwards just to change the angle at the shoulder joint. And you're going to ground down through the base of your posture, draw strongly up through the pelvic floor, and you're going to lift yourself up. Raise that top arm. So you're going to drop the right hip down, it just kisses the floor, and then you lift up. So that right side will lengthen as you lower down and shorten, it will close as you lift up. So really press the earth away to lift you up. So maybe padding under elbow joint perhaps. When you lift up, stretch the arm overhead. Lower down, arm to vertical. If you wanted to add on as well as that arm, you could lengthen the leg. So places for you to go to if you want to. The next time you're stacked, you're going to lower the body down. So you're going to roll onto your belly. And now if you've got a ball, you're going to place the ball under the sternum. So this central bone where Tarzan hits with his fists, you're going to place the ball on the sternum. If you've got big breasts, you might need to pull them away to create a bit of space. It's not a problem for me, as you may well have noticed. And you're going to drape yourself. So you just relax the forehead to the floor. Arms are by the sides of the body, spread through the fingers. Tops of the feet are to the floor, but roll the little toes down. Drop the front of the pelvis, the pubic bone, gently towards the earth, and draw up a little bit through the pelvic floor. So if you don't have a ball, you'll just be in the same position. What I want you to do as you breathe in is raise the head and the chest from the floor, but draw the breastbone forwards. The ball will move backwards. Exhale, lower, the ball moves forwards as you move down. So if you're using this ball, we're gently massaging the tissue across the sternum. So each time you sink weight down, there's compression. When you lift weight off, that welcomes hydration of the fascial tissues. So if you want to add on, lengthen the arms. And as you raise the chest and the head, you'll raise one arm, lower down, then the other arm. But your primary focus is the breastbone lifting and lengthening forwards. And if you wanted to be super clever, as long as you keep the little toe side of the foot rolling down, raise the opposite leg. So this is a back strengthening exercise. It's very gentle, but not necessarily gentle if you've got inflammation in the spine. So you would lower it down. You'd come back to the hands under the shoulders, and you maybe wouldn't do as many repetitions as we're doing. So do an even number to both sides, so another 1 or 2 perhaps. And you're going to move the ball from your breastbone and just lie and have a pause. And just notice the sensations that you feel behind the breastbone especially. If you're on a spiky ball, the sensations may not be as nice as if you're on a soft, sensey massage ball. And then when you're ready to, you're now going to roll onto your left side. Stack yourself nice and evenly. Use the padding where you need, so a thin pillow or a blanket. And raise that top arm, lifting up. Lower hip touches lightly, don't allow the full weight to collapse. Notice the lengthening and the contracting of the left side of the body especially. And if you want to, inhale to press up and lengthen the arm. And so your exhale lowers you down. And again, if you wanted to, when you're reaching with the right arm, you could reach with the right leg. So again, coming away from our foundations, the body has to work much harder. Very nice. Doing one more, coming to a close. You're going to roll towards this half plank position. So all fours would be here, hands closer to knees. We're not back with the bottom, we've not dropped the front of the hips, we're in the middle. You've got high tone threading up through the pelvic floor. And if this is easy for you, if you're used to planks, tuck the toes, press the heels away. So you do want to feel like the lower back is open. So when we're lying on our backs and we've pressed the lower back to the earth, it's that same sensation. Another 5 seconds here. Lower the knees to the floor, untuck the toes if the toes were tucked. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Unless the wrists don't like that position, then they step forwards a little. So just do a few cat-cows. So press the earth away as you round the spine up to the ceiling. And then as you breathe in, don't drop the belly and the chest down, draw them through. So again, it's the same sensation as when we were doing our baby cobras, when we had the ball under the sternum. There's a lengthening forwards rather than a down feeling. Now notice the neutral spine between the rounded and the flexed spine, and settle there. Picking up the right leg, just hold this position, ground down through the underside of your hands and fingers, the top of the left foot. Whatever gives you the most stability with that right foot. So it might be that you point through the top of the foot, you keep the ankle relaxed, or you press the ball of the foot away. Just do what suits. Try and keep the weight even across the hands, so don't lean too much to the left side. And the front of the hips stay looking towards the earth. Lowering the right knee, picking up the left arm. So again, I transition over the right, and you're going to transition a little bit, but just only move over to the right as much as you need. You've got that high tone drawing up through the pelvic floor. And then you can lengthen through the right leg. So know you can rest in any resting posture if you want to. To add on, we can bring the knee and the elbow towards one another. Now, when you lengthen out, come to a neutral spine. So don't lengthen in the abdomen. Don't drop the belly down and don't flare the lower ribs. Rounded and closed to neutral and long. And you're going to do one more before you place the hand and the foot back to the earth. Now this right hand would have worked really hard. So flip the back of the hand to the floor. So the fingertips look at the knee and the palm looks up. Okay. Flip that hand back over. And you're going to raise the left leg. Again, notice how much weight you put over to the right side. Keep the tone through the pelvic floor. Keep the back of the neck long. No need to look forwards unless, of course, you're looking at me for a little bit. Left knee comes back to the floor. Transition the weight a little to the left so that you can peel the right arm. So really feel like you're pressing the back of the hand and the arm upwards. You can draw the arm bone into the shoulder joint, and that will offer you more a sense of stability. And then allow the left leg to join the right leg. And if you wanted to, you come do 5 rounds. Find that slow, low, light breath in and out for your regular count. So we time the movement with the breath. And that number 5 is an aim. You don't have to achieve it. There's no booby prize. And then with the left hand, again, it's taken a lot of effort, flip it over to the back of the hand. So just putting in a different stretch to the wrist. And release. And to close, come to a kneeling position. So we're not going to be low kneeling for too long, but if the knee joints aren't happy here, then do place a cushion or a rolled up blanket between the back of the thighs and the calves, whatever height you want to change the angle at the back of the knees. It just helps the knee joint. So I'll just come sideways on so you can see. So we're going to float the arms up as you tuck under, high tone through the pelvic floor, and it lifts you up to high kneeling. Inhale, bring the arms towards a V shape as you draw the breastbone up. Exhale, neutral. Now on your next inhalation, bring the arms through a T shape, pivot, so forward bend a little from the hips, the bottom moves back, arms come to the side of the body. You tuck, keep the high tone through the pelvic floor, you roll up. Long neutral spine. So you'll really feel, well, I really feel, I should say, the effort that it takes for me to come up from this lower kneeling, flexed spine to neutral spine. Find that slow, low, light breath. We'll do that one more time. And then the next time you find yourself to high kneeling, close by breathing in behind the breastbone and exhaling to a kneeling position. So if you want to, you can close in a rounded child. It might be that you feel that the spine is balanced enough and you can just finish your practice kneeling.